Alright, if you go to today's Moodle page, I've uploaded two things for you. One is a folder of blank t-shirts, and the other is the MC Art Department logo. Remember, the front left chest is where the logo is going to go. If you want to do something to it that kind of ties into your design, you're welcome to, but you don't have to. Otherwise, it's just going to be one color on the front left chest from there. Inside of the folder that I give you, here are the blank t-shirts. Are a variety of different kinds of shirts. What I do is I find them on Google. These are what I would send to a client if I did a t-shirt design for them, showing them what their design looks like on a t-shirt. Since ours are white, I'm giving you a variety of white t-shirts you can use. So here's one with a model. We're just using the back side of it, but if you did want to do a left chest design, you could do it. I've got a female model. I've got just a blank t-shirt. And I've also got a gray one, and I'll show you what I'll do with the gray one in just a second as well. But use any one of these that we're going to place your mock-up onto. Here's the design that I did last year. So obviously it doesn't, oh, did I save it? Let's open it back up. Here was last year's design that I did. So it doesn't have the handmade type, it doesn't have everything on it, but it does have a couple of things that you can consider for your designs. First of all, how many colors am I using? Two, just two colors. When I say two colors, obviously I'm using red and black. What you need to do is pick one color swatch and keep or save just that swatch. So when I say red, this is the red that I'm using, and this is the swatch that I'm always going to use. When I use black, I use one color, that same swatch. So I don't use this red or this red. Those are two completely different things. So it's going to come in handy on Thursday when we do our color separations. But make sure you're using the same swatch for everything. Another thing is, a lot of people say, oh, I want a lighter shade of blue, or can I do, tints or gradations, those types of things. Technically you can do lighter shades. You just can't print a lighter color. Does that make sense? So to do a lighter shade, what you need to do is called a dot pattern or a dot screen type thing. This is a pattern you can find. You can either make one yourself, y'all know how to make patterns, or if you go to your swatches palette, one of the libraries you have is patterns, and there's geometric dots, lines, and textures. When you open each one of these up, where are they? Here they are. They come in a variety of different shades and tints that you can work with. Once you get the color that you like, then you can choose. I'll show you how to change up that particular color. But if I need a particular screening of it, so here's 10% dots per inch. Here's a 40% shade, so on and so forth. Does that make sense? So you can get lighter versions of your color, specifically since we're printing on black. Other thing you can do is you can do a line pattern, since this gets darker at the top and lighter at the bottom as well. Y'all know how to do that. This is what we did in Design 2 as well. So what I'm going to do is, I've done this as a vector graphic. The size of it just needs to be square. I usually make them 11 by 11. That's an average size for a t-shirt printer. Some t-shirts can get a lot bigger, especially if you've got oversized. Usually no more than 12 by 12. 11 by 11 is a pretty good size to work in. Talk to your printer. A lot of them can do special things as well. Isn't that right, Josh? Okay.
Usually 12 wide.
Yeah, usually 12 wide is as big as it gets. Yeah. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this, and we're going to jump into Photoshop, and I'm going to pull up one of my, I'll use this blank t-shirt. I tend to like using these kind of t-shirts, the ones that show wrinkles, that show an actual pattern, because it looks real. You can find vector, just flat t-shirts patterns, and use those. In a pinch, they work really, really well, but clients tend to like something that shows what it looks like. I've got it copied, so when I go to Edit and Paste, since it's a vector file, it's going to ask me, hey, how do you want to paste this? We're going to keep it simple, and we're just going to paste the pixels. And the first thing it's going to do is, it's going to be in gray. Check your color mode. Obviously, there we go, I'm in grayscale. We'll swap that back over to RGB. Now let's paste it. As pixels. There's my color. I do need to scale it down. The colors and sizes are going to be approximated. I really don't know how big this t-shirt is, so I don't know how wide 11 inches is. So this would probably be a little bit too big to go all the way across the back like that. Something closer to this would be closer to what's actually done. Another thing this particular printer cannot do, we cannot print like up on the top shoulders. It's going to be kind of in the back center area. So don't do anything like weird off to the side or too far down below. We're going to keep it nice and simple and do just a back centered design once it's on there as well. So keep that in mind. Let's see. So I've got it on here. Essentially, since it's a white t-shirt, that's all I really need to do. It gives me a good idea of what it looks like. Obviously, my dot pattern is turning into kind of a moire pattern. But if I back it up and was to send this off, it would give them a good idea of what it looks like. If you want to take it a step further and actually show some of the texture that's inside of it, on layer 1, you can change it to multiply, and that'll pick up, here it is, normal, and here it is multiply. Obviously not too much difference since it's on there as well. This is what you're going to turn in to me on Thursday. This is what I'm going to upload to Facebook. This is what people are going to vote on. So your design can be done this way. Here's the next thing to consider. What do you do if you have a color t-shirt? What I do to find these is I just do a Google search for t-shirt, blank t-shirts. Let's see if I had it pulled up. Obviously I don't. So specifically, I like to look for gray t-shirts, but you can try to find the exact color that you're looking for. When you go meet with a t-shirt printer, they'll literally have a book of different fabrics and different styles that you can choose from, and they'll show you specifically what it looks like. The main thing to remember is you're never going to get the color exactly the way it's going to be actually printed. It's just going to be approximation. So what I do is I'd look for a gray blank t-shirt. This is the one that I pulled up. Like I said, here's a vector file. You can vectorize it. Hey, that works out just as good. But why gray? Why do we use gray? Here's why. Let's pull this gray t-shirt into Photoshop. Here's how I can turn a gray t-shirt into any color that I need. How do y'all think I'm going to do it?
You just go paint over it?
Paint over it? Close. What we're going to do is we're going to use a layer adjustment. In your adjustments palette, one of the adjustments you have is a gradient map, and we've done this to colorize t-shirts before. So let's see, where are we? Come on. Above it, I have a gradient map, and in my little properties palette, whatever color I put into here is what's going to change this color. The reason why I use gray is because it's a little bit easier to choose. All I've got to do now is change up my gradient slider and add colors that I need. Here's the trick to it. Notice that here's my darkest points and here's my lightest points. If I drag this over, my midtones can become very, very dark. I can make my t-shirt be much darker. Same way, if I drag it this way, I can make it much, much lighter, actually blow out the whole thing. If I add another point in the center, from here, I'm going to double click, I can choose a color, say red, and that's what it will apply to here. Since I'm keeping it darker reds to lighter reds, the t-shirt tends to look a lot more realistic. Does that make sense? And I can play around with how light or dark I want the red to be just by moving the slider around as well. Let's say if I wanted it to be like a dark blue, something like that. That actually looks pretty natural as far as what I'm looking for. If I really wanted to, I can make this black be a dark blue, and that would kind of pull it out just a little bit more. When I say OK, now I've got a blue t-shirt, and I can put my design on a blue t-shirt and show it what it looks like on blue. If I wanted to change the color, all I've got to do is change my gradient color to another thing, and now I've got a green t-shirt, showing what the t-shirt would look like from there. Find a gray t-shirt, apply a gradient mask, or gradient map overlay to it, and that will allow you to paste on anything. Let's see what the design looks like if I pasted it onto here. So obviously the white is showing up, and the red is showing up. Remember, white can be a color in your design. I don't think you have to keep it. Let's see what happens if I multiply this. So, not going to show up too well. Obviously, I need to tweak my colors and change it up. But that gives you an idea of what I would send to a client. This is a mock-up area. Before they print it, this is what they would proof, they would sign off on. Make sure you spell everything correctly. I can't tell you how many cheerleading t-shirts that you put the people's names on the back and like one name is misspelled and you got to buy those t-shirts. Okay, that's all that I'm going to do for today. Today's a work day to finish up anything that you want to work on.